So we're moving, or at least we will be if I remember to go sign the lease. Crap, I haven't signed the lease yet. And if I look a little dewy, and if you can hear constant panting in the background, it's because the AC in this apartment has been, you know, doing its own thing for the last month or so. And last night it decided that its own thing would be to just not turn on. And that was about 24 hours ago. So it's warm in here. Very, very warm in here. What a lovely time to move. Mommy does need to go sign the lease though. Bonk bonk. Everything is wet. Anyway, where was I? Grass. I'm not really one to get sentimental about my living spaces. If you've seen this video, you know that I've moved a lot in my adult life. So I never really connect that much to the places that I'm in. I've always enjoyed change. That being said, this is the first time that we're moving like laterally, like we're not leaving LA, we just needed a bigger space. So if you're tired of hearing me complain about having no space here, that's finally gonna be fixed. Honestly, we have really enjoyed this apartment. We were extremely lucky that when we first moved to LA, we found this place at a slightly lower price than what they're charging now, I think possibly due to the pandemic and everything. It's a really great area. It's a very convenient location. The complex is large and very well landscaped and quite beautiful. And it's right over by some major film studios. So it really gave us the feeling of like moving to Hollywood, which was fun. Lots of good things going for it. But we just outgrew the space really quickly, and both of us started really wanting an actual house, not just for the more space, but you know, to have our own driveway, to have a yard where I can garden, where the puppy can play. He's never had a yard either. Since we got him, we've always lived in like apartments or townhouses, so he doesn't know what it's like to just be able to go outside without a leash on anytime he wants. And we're really excited about that for him. So after about a year in this apartment, we decided we really should start looking for a bigger and homier place to settle for the next several years. And if you know anything about the LA housing market, then I'm sure you're as nauseated by it as I am. So we decided that we should start looking super early, long before our lease here is up, because ultimately we'd rather break our lease if we happen to find a really good house than get to like a month before our lease is going to run out and have to scramble and basically take whatever we can find because there's nothing good at the moment. Really though, I didn't expect to find anything for a while, and I kind of didn't want to. I wasn't super keen to move in the middle of summer. It's so hot. It just seems unpleasant. Also, I'd be lying if I said the main reason wasn't because all of my plants are really flourishing on the balcony, and moving them, I feel like it's gonna kill them all. Also, Matt has been in New York for business for almost a month now, so like, it didn't seem like a convenient time all around, and I literally texted him that morning and was like, after I go see these two houses, let's leave it until like at least September when it cools down slightly. Let's stop looking at houses. I don't want to be moving right now in the middle of summer. But then I went to see the house. For reference, our current one-bedroom apartment is 664 square feet, I believe, and this one is 1,600 square feet. So we're adding a lot of space, more space than I honestly know what we will do with. I think some of the rooms are just gonna be sitting empty for a while, but that's good because that gives us room to grow there and hopefully means we don't have to move again in another few years. It's an old house from 1925. It has a lot of like the very vintagey old elements to it still. It's in a nice neighborhood. It's the closest to our current location that I have yet to see out of any of the houses that I've looked at. It was kind of perfect, or as close to perfect as you're going to get in this market. 24 hours later, we've signed a lease and we're moving in 2 weeks. We gotta pack. Moving was so much easier when I was single and all of my belongings fit in my car. It's fine. I'm mainly just worried about my plants. I mean, my cucumber plants have just been thriving out there, and I don't want them to die. Anyway, I just wanted to share that bit of info while it's fresh, having just signed the lease. Let's see where it goes from here. I guess technically I should start packing. I'm not gonna do that. The AC isn't working. I'm gonna lay on the ground and moan. I will miss this, though let's be real, I'm usually asleep. Are you just eating an acorn? I don't think you're supposed to eat that. You're not a squirrel. Every time he goes outside, he brings in a little acorn and starts throwing it around like a toy. Oh, hello, yes. Look at that tummy. Well, I have half a battery left, so guess I better do this fast because I have absolutely no idea where the rest of my batteries are. They're in here somewhere. I also don't have my softbox or any lighting or anything because this is the first time I am filming anything in the new house. So we have been here a week now. Clearly we've gotten a lot done. It's been a little bit weird having so much space. I was thinking about it with several of the previous moves, particularly the last two that Matt and I did to New York and then to LA. Both times we were moving to like 600, 650 square foot apartments, 1 bedroom, small. And like beforehand, I had always thought through very thoroughly what I was going to do with the space, how I was gonna fit everything in. And I realized that this time, I don't have any ideas. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with these areas. And I realized the other day, I think it's because before it's always been like, there's one option for how you can get all of your life into this small space. And you just need to find what that one option is. And now for the first time, there's a lot of different options. Hello? Piggy. Munch. Munch, munch. It's so wet. Gross. I'm great at finding the one way that I can pack everything into a small space. In fact, packing things into small spaces has always been a skill of mine. Filling a dishwasher with 9 people's dishes, I was great at that. You want to cram your entire life into a smart car so you can drive across the country? Been there, done that. But filling up a larger space, things can be aesthetically pleasing instead of just, you know, squished in the only way they can be. Anyway, all that to say, I think it's gonna take a little while for me to actually furnish and decorate and organize and be done with all the rooms in this house. I mean, it's not a huge house, but it feels quite huge to us. And now my microphone is blinking and I don't know where those batteries are either. So put together. We decided to move completely on our own, so after cleaning the whole house on the Sunday they gave us the keys, we started the transferring process. It took us 3 days to get everything from the apartment into the house, 2 days using Matt's car, and the third doing 2 trips in a U-Haul with the bigger pieces. We were quite exhausted. But I mean, we've used a moving company before. When we moved from Florida to New York, we didn't really have any furniture yet, just our belongings, so we were able to get it all in a small U-Haul and drive it up ourselves. But that trip was pretty stressful for Matt. So when it came time to move from New York to LA, and we now had a bit more in the way of larger furniture pieces, there was no way we were doing it ourselves. But here, well, the new place is only like 10 minutes away from the old one, and there's no rush to move since our leases overlap. There's a reason I prefer to pack move and unpack on my own, and that is my haphazard method of moving. If I'm doing it myself, then I don't have to wrap everything neatly, make sure all the boxes can close and be stacked on top of each other, label everything properly, like, no. I was wrapping delicate stuff in like t-shirts and scarves and fabric scraps, if I even wrapped it at all. Nothing is labeled. We emptied a bunch of boxes out and just like stashed stuff in a corner so that we could reuse the boxes for more kitchen stuff. And when I packed the kitchen, I used like a bunch of our reusable grocery bags and just plunked stuff in there. Like all the breakable stuff was just in there together, no wrapping whatsoever. But then, and here's the key to haphazard packing, we put everything in the car so perfectly, so cleanly and neatly and packed together that even on our most dangerous trip, like the one with all the breakable kitchen stuff in the back of the car, you could not hear a single rattle. So yeah, not one single broken item, y'all. It works. Pack crazy, transport carefully. Moving the balcony plants was hard. Remember that video where I made this? So when it's full of dirt, it's very, very heavy. So heavy that we absolutely could not lift it into a truck. So I had to empty out the majority of the dirt and transplant all the plants before moving it over, and that did not go super well, but everything else went pretty well. After that, we spent the next several days doing like the most important rooms, like the kitchen is pretty much all organized. We got the bedroom that we're sleeping in, which is going to be the guest bedroom, in like another week. We got that kind of organized, and we got the couch made and the TV put in front of it. Most important thing, of course. So basically now we can take as long as we want to do the rest of the house. Who's to say how long that's gonna be? But for now, let's go back in time to the clean and empty apartment. House, it's a house. And I'll give you a little tour. So this house was built in 1925. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but because of that, it has so many like absolutely delightful old-timey house things about it that I didn't really realize I would love, but I love them. First of all, the very large front door, like it is definitely wider than normal. It also has this old-fashioned peephole. Instead of being an actual peephole, it's a full-on door, which actually seems really awkward for me if I ever had to use it, because the person at your front door could just very clearly see your whole face staring at them, trying to figure out if you want to open the door or not. Still love it though. When you enter, there is this lovely room that I've been calling the sitting room, even though Matt insists that it's just the living room. It feels like a parlor to me, like a place that should not have a TV in it, but should have lots of lovely chairs to sit on and beautiful lamps and some artwork and stuff. A place where I would entertain if that was a thing that I did. Another thing I feel like is more common in these older homes is the curved nature. Even the corners of the room here are curved rather than square. And then this big old arched entry between the sitting room and the dining room. I've already hit my head rather hard on this lamp in the center multiple times. I'm surprised I didn't break it once. It was such a hard knock. More big windows in this dining room, which I absolutely adore. I want windows everywhere, in all rooms, all the time. I would live in a glass house as long as there were no neighbors. Through that room, you have this little breakfast nook on the front of the kitchen, more windows with that lovely arched shape. Yet another lamp that I have hit my head on multiple times. And as you curve around, there is the kitchen. I love an open style kitchen, which you really don't find in old homes. I think this is called a galley kitchen, where it kind of runs on two sides of the room, and that's just much more common for the time period. But I appreciate that this one is pretty wide set. The space in between the two counters is much bigger than you see in some places, so it makes the whole kitchen feel a lot bigger. And then of course you have this gorgeous window right in front of the sink that has the little extending window box kind of thing on it. As you go through the kitchen, there's all these cabinets on the side wall, just tons of storage. This house has a buttload of built-in storage. Don't even know what I would use all of this for, but hey, I'm sure it'll come in handy someday. Hello, Matt. There's also this fun little sink at the end with filtered water, and yeah, I don't know what I'd use that for either, but it's there. Oh, the skitter paws. So through the kitchen, you enter what will be my studio. This definitely looks like it was an addition to the house done later on. I'm assuming maybe in like the 70s or 80s, based on the massive amounts of wood paneling, which was, definitely a trend at one time. It's at least a light wood paneling. I've seen some houses where it's like a really dark wood and then the whole room just feels so dark. I don't mind the light wood paneling. Once again, we have built-in stuff, which is amazing. A full-on built-in desk with a lamp. You've got shelves on the sides. You've got cabinets up above. The cabinets below actually have like built-in speakers in them that will probably never even try to hook up because why bother? The laundry is also in this room, which is a little bit odd, but I can understand how it ended up here when you see the design of the house. And you know, I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna hang up a lovely curtain in front of it and it will become a photography backdrop. And then this room also has that lovely double door exit into the backyard. And as we cross through this room, we have the entry to the master bedroom, which feels massive to us. Let me tell you, we're used to these one-bedroom apartments where the one bedroom is basically only big enough to put a queen-size bed in, and that is it. So walking into this one, like, ugh, it's huge. It has both the master bathroom and a large walk-in closet in there, which is a chef's kiss, absolute delight. Huzzah. We haven't had a walk-in closet in ever? Don't remember having one. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Our studio apartment in Oklahoma weirdly had a walk-in closet that was bigger than the bathroom, and I never understood it. But yeah, this is just sort of a blank canvas of a room that I do not know what I'll do with because I've never had space in a bedroom to put anything but a bed. Excited to see what the options are. Going back to my studio, you can then cross straight through into what we are calling the TV room because we expect this to be the place we put our TV. It's just sort of this weird in-between room that has a lot more built-in storage. Huzzah for that built-in storage. Love it. Also has a skylight, which is great because it's in the center of the house, so there's no windows in this room. But because you have the skylight, you still get that beautiful natural light. And y'all, I grew up in a house that had skylights in the living room. My parents specifically asked for them when the house was built, and it was amazing. You just always had this beautiful natural light all day long, and the whole room was brighter because of that, and that's probably why I'm so obsessed with sunlight to this day. Then we enter the hallway, which connects back to the dining room, and that goes all the way down to our guest bedroom on the other end. Delightful to have a guest bedroom for the first time. We can actually let people, you know, not sleep on the floor when they visit us. Pretty basic, just a small room. Kind of reminds me of, you know, all the bedrooms we've come out of. Perfect for a queen-size bed. And then there is the guest bathroom, or just extra bathroom in the hallway, which is so cutely decorated. It's this whole like teal and lavender purple orchidish color. Great tiling on the walls. It's also got this tub in it that's like shorter than a normal tub would be, but also deeper. So yeah, I'm a bath person, so I'm excited to take baths in here. And that's basically it for the house, but let me show you the backyard real fast because it's absolutely adorable. First of all, when you get into the backyard, there's this whole detached garage on the side, and the front half the owners are still using for storage, which is fine because there's a perfectly long driveway to put our cars in, but the back half was still available for us to use. It's just sort of this concrete box, nothing really going on in it. It does also have skylights, huzzah. But this is going to be Matt's studio, which is absolutely perfect because he is usually blasting music in his studio. It's pretty garagey right now. The floor's a little nasty, but it at least has windows and it has internet connection and it has an AC unit, so we are really excited to redo this room. We're gonna do a lot to it, and he's gonna have his own very lovely professional studio, which is necessary for his business and one of the main reasons we needed to move. And then we have our beautiful little backyard. It feels very private. There's lots of trees. There's a lemon, grapefruit, tangerine, and pomegranate tree, so my fruit tree loving self is absolutely thrilled. There is a jacuzzi back here that we're not allowed to use by our contract, but it has this fun little gazebo thing built on top of it, so I'm gonna see if I can like turn it into a little sitting area thing because it's super cute. There's also a swing and a playhouse, y'all. there is a playhouse in the backyard, which right now kind of smells like cat pee inside, but I'm excited to get that fully cleaned out and just see what I can do with it, because how fun is that? I'm really excited about the backyard. I love that it already had built-in furniture in it. There's already a picnic table and some benches and the swing, but then they also left behind like some chairs and this nice couch and an umbrella and everything. But then there's also plenty of room for me to add all of my little gardening pots and plants, and maybe even have sort of a raised garden in the back area next year. So very, very excited about that. And I'm not going to show you the front yard because that would be weird. So that's the end of the tour. Just thought I'd utilize this lovely blank wall that we have for the next hour or so until our bed gets delivered. Then it will go away. Although in all fairness, there will be a lot of blank walls in this house for probably the next several months. Great for filming. I've got my fun little buns today because I worked a background job this morning. Delightfully short. I think it took her longer to do my hair than it did for us to film the scene. Brilliant. You know the best part of this new house? It's not even part of the house, it's part of the neighborhood. No speed bumps! I absolutely despise speed bumps, and our apartment complex was full of them. Not only does it always feel like I'm destroying my car, no matter how slowly I go over them, but also it's like a punishment for a crime I didn't commit. Like at some point, someone was going too fast, and that's why they were put in. Someone ruined it for all of us, but I'm not doing that. I am going so nice and slow over these giant ass humps, and the suspension in my car is still screaming at me. Okay, I'm done ranting about speed bumps. There are none in this neighborhood, and I am thrilled. This house felt a lot quieter before I started filming, as is always the case. There's an interesting conundrum, I guess you could call it, in moving to a house for the first time and having so much space at our disposal. Matt and I have had a rather interesting array of living situations since we got together, but they've all been pretty small and basically consisted of or centered around like a single room. We started in a studio apartment in Oklahoma. Then we went back to living on cruise ships where we shared an extremely small windowless cabin. After that, we did live in a townhouse, which was considerably bigger, but we basically lived the majority of our lives on the center floor, which was the one big room of like the living room and the kitchen. And there was no separation there. So it had that same kind of feeling of just being a one room place. Then it was a 1-bedroom apartment in New York, and finally a 1-bedroom apartment in LA. So my point being that we've always lived in a place where if both of us were home, then we were probably both in the same room, no walls or doors separating us. And that worked really well for our relationship. I'm not sure everyone would be into that, but we really enjoy sharing the same space. I think it's called like companioning, when you're just together in the same space, even though you're not doing anything together or you're not even always talking or anything, but you're just there together. And that's something that's been such like a normal part of our relationship, to just be together, visible to each other. It's also just really convenient because any slight thing you want to like tell the other person or remind the other person or ask the other person, you just had to turn around and they were right there. You didn't have to yell across a house or try to go find them. So we've just never really experienced this rather more typical, I would assume, situation of living in a place where there can be walls and doors separating us on, you know, just a regular basis. And it's just definitely gonna be an adjustment, especially because Matt will likely spend the bulk of his days in his studio, which is actually a detached building in the backyard, so it's even more separated. And like, honestly, I think I will miss him a little bit throughout the day. I'll miss having him there next to me, but more honestly, because let's face it, I'm an extremely lazy person, I think I'll be annoyed that I have to get up out of my chair and go find him every time I want to tell him something. I guess we'll have to start doing that like texting while in the same house thing. Actually, the same goes for the puppy now that I think about it. In his entire life, he's always been in a place where if we're both home, then he can generally lay in one spot and see both of us at one time. And he clearly prefers that. He is very, very clingy, and I think he enjoys being able to watch both of his parents at the same time. So I am interested to see how he adjusts as well, and you know, whether he'll choose to be in the room with me or in the room with Matt. Maybe we'll find out who he likes better. I hope you enjoyed our empty house tour. I'm sure there will be more videos out soon of whatever I end up doing to the rest of the house. Eventually, I'll give you guys a full house tour. And by eventually, I mean probably like a year from now. Hopefully not. I would love to have this house furnished and like good to go sooner than that, because it definitely throws me off when the house is in a state of disarray. Not the disarray. 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 If you say disarray fast enough, it could be like somebody's name. Hi, I'm Disarray. And hopefully this studio will be done soon because I have so many project ideas. Oh, I cannot wait to start working on them. And I think our bed is about to arrive, so toodles.